You know what most people miss when they talk about attraction? It's not the words you say. It's not the clever lines or perfect texts. It starts way before that. It starts the moment you walk into a room. Before you even say a word, you're already being remembered, or you're being forgotten. That's why the first key to becoming his sweetest nightmare is mastering your presence. Think about it. Have you ever seen someone walk in and everyone just notices? They don't have to shout. They're not putting on a show, but the air changes when they arrive. That's not an accident. That's someone who understands the silent power of presence. And here's the secret. They're not doing anything for others. They're just so completely at home in their skin that it radiates outward. Presence starts with posture. Are you owning the space you're in, or are you shrinking from it? Shoulders back, chin up, not in arrogance, but in certainty, like your body knows that you deserve to be there, because you do. There's nothing more attractive than someone who doesn't need permission to exist fully. And then there's the energy you bring. This is crucial. People often think confidence is about being loud or overly assertive. But true confidence, it's quiet. It doesn't seek validation. It doesn't need to fill silence. It just is. When you walk into a room, let your energy say, I don't need anything from you. I'm good. I'm already complete. That's when people start leaning in, because they can sense that you're not chasing attention. You're the kind of person attention naturally follows. Now, here's what most never realize. People mirror the energy you bring. If you walk in unsure of yourself, they'll respond to that uncertainty. But if you walk in grounded, at ease, fully in your own body, they'll respond to that instead. So when you move, move with purpose. When you pause, pause with intention. Don't rush. The world bends to the rhythm of people who move slowly and deliberately. Why? Because it signals control. It signals certainty. You ever notice how the most magnetic people aren't usually the ones bouncing around the room trying to talk to everyone? They're the ones who are just being. They're present, they're calm, they're tuned in. They make you feel like they're not trying to impress anyone. And that's exactly why they're unforgettable. And let's talk about how presence connects with sensuality, because this is important. Sensuality doesn't mean showing more skin or acting overtly seductive. It's in how you feel in your own body. Are you aware of the way you move, the way you breathe? When you're deeply connected to yourself, others can't help but be drawn in. They may not even understand why. They just feel something. It's magnetic, and it all happens without a single word. When you walk into a room with that kind of energy, it lingers, people notice, they remember. They may not even catch your name, but they'll say, who was that? It's the beginning of becoming someone's sweetest nightmare. Because once they've felt your presence, they'll crave it again and again and again. But you've got to believe you're worthy of that kind of attention, not in a performative way, but in a deeply rooted internal way. If there's a voice in your head telling you you're not good enough, not beautiful enough, not interesting enough, that voice isn't you. It's just noise you picked up along the way. Silence it. Replace it with a new truth. You are enough as you are. More than enough. Presence isn't about being the loudest. It's not about being the most dramatic. It's about being the most you, fully, unapologetically. And when you own that, you shift the room without having to say a word. You don't need to chase. You don't need to prove. You just need to be with a stillness, a strength, a softness that speaks louder than anything you could possibly say. That's how you begin. That's how you step into the world as someone unforgettable. Because when you walk in like you belong in every heart and you own every glance, not out of ego, but out of self-awareness, you become the one he can't stop thinking about, the one he wants to understand, to know, to unravel, and yet somehow never quite can. You become the woman who stays on his mind long after she's gone, and that's the first move in becoming his sweetest nightmare. You ever lock eyes with someone and feel the air shift, that electricity, that pull? It's not an accident. It's not luck. It's the silent art of connection. The truth is, you can say more with your eyes in 5 seconds than most people manage with their words in 5 minutes. And when you learn how to use eye contact with purpose, it becomes the kind of moment someone replays long after you're gone. Let me be very clear about something. Eye contact isn't about staring someone down or trying to dominate. That's not power. That's insecurity in disguise. Real eye contact is about presence. It's about saying, "I see you," without needing to say a single word. It's a statement that you're comfortable with who you are, that you're not trying to prove anything, and that your attention is something to be earned, not taken for granted. Think about it. Most people avoid true eye contact. They glance, they look away, they fidget. Why? Because they're afraid of being seen. They're afraid of the vulnerability that comes with really showing up. But when you embrace it, when you lean into that moment and hold someone's gaze, not aggressively, but with poise and calm, you trigger something primal in them. You awaken curiosity, intrigue, maybe even desire. The secret is in the timing. Let your eyes meet his, just a fraction longer than expected. A soft glance, a tiny pause, then a calm shift of focus. It's the kind of moment that says, "I notice you, and I'm not in a rush to move on." That tiny delay is where all the magic lives. It's subtle, but unforgettable. It's not overt. It's not screaming. It's whispering something into the air. "You've been seen. Now good luck forgetting me." But it's not just about looking. It's about how you look. Your eyes should carry your energy, whatever that is in the moment. Maybe it's playful. Maybe it's powerful. Maybe it's quietly confident. The intention matters more than the technique. If you're nervous, if you're doubting yourself, that'll show. So before you even lock eyes with someone, check in with your own energy. Remind yourself, "I'm enough," whether or not they respond. I'm here to impress. I'm here to express. When you look at stemming from that place, centered, grounded, it creates this powerful paradox. You become both inviting and untouchable, approachable, yet elusive. And that's where you start to live in their mind, rent-free, because you're not begging for their validation. You're not scanning their face for approval. You're simply there, offering a connection, and whether they step into it or not is their choice. But the invitation, it lingers. Now, let's be honest, this isn't just about seduction. It's deeper than that. It's about emotional intelligence. When you really see someone, when your eye contact says, "I'm listening," even when you're not speaking, you create safety, you create intimacy. And most people are starving for that kind of attention, real attention, the kind that doesn't flinch, the kind that holds space. You give them a moment where they feel important without needing to earn it, that kind of eye contact. It haunts in the best possible way. And what's fascinating is this: sometimes the most powerful move you can make is to break eye contact, but only after you've held it long enough to make it count. Look, let them feel it, and then casually glance away. It's the removal of the moment that makes them crave its return. That gentle withdrawal is what creates the echo. They'll sit with the silence and wonder what just happened. Because you didn't say a word, but somehow you said everything. This is how you become unforgettable without being loud. How you make someone want more without giving too much. You're not just making eye contact, you're making an impression. And that impression is confidence, elegance, a little danger, and something they can't quite name. That mystery, it's intoxicating. People chase what they don't fully understand. So let your eyes carry enough meaning to stir something, but not enough to explain it. Let them wonder if you were being playful or serious. Let them wonder if the spark they felt was real or imagined. Let them sit with the question of who you are and how you manage to shake something loose in them without saying a single thing. Because that's how you become his sweetest nightmare. You don't scream for attention. You don't plead for closeness. You offer a glimpse And then you leave the room glowing with the kind of poise that makes him question why he can't stop thinking about you. Why that one moment keeps playing over and over again in his mind. Because you looked into his eyes like you already knew him, and yet gave nothing away. And that, right there, is how you haunt a heart. You know what most people underestimate? The silent power of being unapologetically feminine. And I'm not talking about a performance or playing into a stereotype. I mean the kind of femininity that doesn't ask for permission, that doesn't shrink to make someone else comfortable, the kind that knows its value, radiates ease, and is grounded in self-awareness. That kind of energy doesn't just attract, it haunts. It lingers long after you've left the room. Let's get one thing straight. Femininity isn't weakness. It's not passivity. It's not waiting around for someone to choose you. True femininity is incredibly strong, but it's a different flavor of strength. It's nuanced. It's the quiet confidence in your walk, the grace in your gestures, the way you carry yourself like you're already enough, because you are. Think about the way you hold a wine glass. Not because you're trying to look elegant, but because you're present. You're not scrolling through your phone to distract yourself. You're not over-talking or trying to impress anyone. You're in the moment. When you're grounded in who you are, your smallest movements speak louder than a full-blown performance. Every flick of the wrist, every glance, every little smile becomes magnetic. Not because you planned it that way, but because it's aligned. Because it's you, fully embodied. You're not trying to be sexy. You're not performing charm. You are charm. You are mystery. And trust me, a woman who's comfortable in her skin, without having to explain it, she gets remembered. And it's not about makeup or fashion either, though if you love those, lean into them. It's not about what you wear, it's how you wear it. You could be in jeans and a messy bun and still turn every head in the room if you own it. Femininity is not a costume, it's a current. It's an energy. It's the quiet thunder that says, you can look, but you better bring something real if you want to stay. When a woman is unapologetically feminine, she doesn't need to speak loudly to be heard. She can communicate everything with a single look. She doesn't need to lean forward to seek approval. She leans back because she's already whole. That subtle shift, that changes everything. And you know what else? It's intoxicating because most people aren't used to it. Most people are used to effort, to over-explaining, to trying to earn attention. But the woman who simply is, who doesn't force, who doesn't chase, who knows that her presence is enough, that woman disorients people in the best way possible. Because when someone meets a woman like that, they don't know what to do with her. They can't predict her. They can't box her in. She doesn't give too much away. And she doesn't ask for anything she isn't already giving to herself. That balance of warmth and distance, that's addictive. That's the sweet nightmare. So don't be afraid to lean into your softness, your sensuality, your quiet. Don't rush to fill every silence. Let your presence do the talking. Let him feel the contrast between the chaos of his world and the calm of your energy. That contrast will keep him up at night. Not because you're playing games, but because you've reminded him of a level of depth, grace, and magnetism he forgot existed. And here's the truth most people won't tell you. Femininity is dangerous in the best way because it can't be controlled, only respected. It's not something someone can take. It's something they're invited into if they're worthy. You don't need to be loud to command attention. You don't need to dominate a space to be unforgettable. You just need to embody your truth fully and stop apologizing for how powerful that is. Every time you walk into a room, remember this. You are already the fire. You are already the calm. You are already the mystery. The moment you stop trying to prove that and just be it, that's the moment you become unforgettable. And that's how you become his sweetest nightmare. without saying a word. Him tastes. You give him just enough to keep him coming back, but never so much that he stops wondering. Mystery isn't about playing games. It's about restraint. It's about knowing the difference between being open and being exposed. It's the art of holding back, not because you're scared, but because you know your worth doesn't depend on immediate understanding. You know the best things in life, the most intoxicating, irresistible things, are never obvious right away. They unfold. When you walk into a room, don't feel the need to over-explain who you are. Let your energy introduce you. Let your silence be a statement. Let your stillness say, I don't need to impress you. I am the impression. You don't have to laugh too loud or speak too fast to fill the silence. You don't need to tell your entire life story on the first night. You don't need to announce your standards or your boundaries like a public declaration. Trust me, he's watching. He's picking up on your cues, your tone, your timing. And when you move with subtlety, when you leave gaps in the story, that's when his mind starts to spin. That's when he starts thinking about you when you're not around. That's when he starts imagining things he hasn't even seen yet. Let him earn the privilege of knowing you. Let him invest time, energy, and intention before he gets to access your thoughts, your passions, your history. And when he asks, don't give all the answers. Give a half smile. Give a maybe. Give a pause before you respond. That pause, that's gold. That's the moment his brain lights up and says, wait, what does that mean? Who is she? Really? We all want connection. We all want to be seen. But deep connection doesn't come from flooding someone with information. It comes from presence. It comes from the spaces between the words. And the truth is, a little mystery goes a long way. He should feel like he's in a movie when he's with you, not a reality show. There should be moments when he looks at you and thinks, God, there's something about her I just can't pin down. That's what keeps him coming back. That's what makes you unforgettable. Even in the way you text, the way you respond. Be intentional. You don't have to rush to reply. You don't have to fill every silence with an emoji or a joke or a nervous overshare. Let your energy say, I've got a full life and I'll make space for you. If you show me you're worth it, this isn't about manipulation. It's about magnetism. And magnetism isn't loud. It doesn't beg. It pulls quietly, powerfully, irresistibly. When you walk away from a moment, leave something in the air. Leave something unsaid. Let the encounter end with a question, not a conclusion. Let him walk away wondering who you were texting before him. What made you smile during dinner, where you're going after this? Let him feel like he tasted the edge of something wild and beautiful, but never got to the center of it. That's how you live in someone's mind. That's how you haunt someone's thoughts. Not with noise, not with attention seeking, but with presence, confidence, and deliberate mystery. And here's the real kicker. When you finally do open up, when you share something personal, when you let him in, it means something. Because it wasn't handed out freely, it was earned, it was real. And that's when you go from just another person he met to the one he can't forget. You don't need to be loud to leave a mark. You just need to be a mystery he wants to solve, but never fully can. That's how you become his sweetest nightmare. You know what most people get wrong in attraction? They think it's about saying the right things, coming up with clever lines, or being loud enough to be noticed. But real attraction, the kind that leaves someone awake at 2 a.m. thinking about you, is about control. Not control over them, but control over yourself, over your rhythm, over your energy. That's how you become unforgettable, without even needing to speak. See, what most people do when they're interested in someone is they adjust, they change pace, they rush to keep up. Or worse, they slow themselves down, waiting for crumbs of attention. But the truth is, the second you adjust your rhythm to chase someone else's, you've already lost your power. Let me tell you what makes someone magnetic. It's when they move through the world like they're dancing to their own beat. Like they've got their own music playing in their head and they're not pausing it for anyone. You feel that, don't you? That's the person who turns heads without trying. That's the person you remember long after the moment is over. You don't need to say a word to own the pace of an interaction. It's in the way you walk, the way you pause before responding, the way you leave space between your presence and your availability. When someone, through old messages, if you even gave him that, he'll wonder if you noticed the way he looked at you. He'll ask mutual friends about you. Why? Because you left at the moment most people lean in. You walked away when others would have latched on. That's rare. That's haunting. That's unforgettable. And this is not just about romance. This is about value. Knowing that your presence is something to be earned, that access to you isn't granted just because there's a spark. A lot of people confuse availability with interest. But when you truly understand your worth, you realize just because we vibe doesn't mean you get to keep me. You don't owe anyone your full story after one evening. You don't need to linger to prove you care. If there's something there, he'll feel it. And if he's the right kind of man, he won't just feel it, he'll follow it. He'll chase the question you left behind. Because the question is the hook. It's not about being rude. It's not about ghosting or playing hard to get. It's about leaving him in a state of beautiful frustration. That feeling where he's not sure what just happened, but he knows it meant something. He knows you meant something. So many people are so afraid to be the one who leaves first. They're afraid of missing out, afraid of looking disinterested, afraid they won't get another chance. But if you stay past the moment of peak intrigue, you actually weaken your power. You make yourself too available, too attainable. The magic fades, the hunger dies down. But when you leave him suspended in that emotional high, his mind will not let it go. He'll think about you when he's brushing his teeth, when he's walking into meetings, when he's scrolling through his phone at night. You'll become the quiet thunderstorm in the back of his mind, unseen but felt. And the best part, you didn't have to say a word, not a single line. Your presence said it all. Your departure sealed it. Because the ones we remember most are the ones who leave while the fire's still burning. Texts you and you don't immediately jump to respond, not because you're playing games, but because you're busy living a life that doesn't revolve around them. That silence becomes loud, deafening even, because they start to realize you're not waiting, you're not chasing, you're choosing. That's when you flip the dynamic. Suddenly, they're wondering, why hasn't she replied yet? Where is she? Who's she with? Your absence becomes a puzzle. Your pace becomes the test they're trying to pass. And let's be honest, there is nothing more addictive than trying to catch someone who moves like they've got options, who behaves like their time is gold and their attention isn't free. Now, I want you to think about this. When you're with someone and they're talking, do you ever feel like they're trying too hard to fill every silence? Like they're afraid of the quiet? That's what most people do. They rush in, they overshare, they overcompensate. But when you're confident in your rhythm, you're not afraid of silence. You let it linger. You look someone in the eye and let them feel the weight of the moment. No words, just presence, just pace. The people who haunt us, who become our sweetest nightmares, are the ones we couldn't quite catch. Not because they ran, but because they never chased us back. They moved at their pace, and we couldn't help but lean in, try harder, step up. That's where the obsession starts. Not when someone throws themselves at us, but when they make us earn a moment of their attention. You want to leave an impact without even speaking? Then stop trying to match someone else's urgency. Stop responding to every look, every call, every breadcrumb. Don't confuse availability with value. Be selective. Be intentional. When you walk into a room, don't scan for attention. Carry the vibe of someone who already has it, someone who's already in demand. Because when you move like that, people will adjust to you. They'll slow down, they'll wait, they'll chase. You don't need to speak to create tension. You just need to pause. Let them lean in. Let them feel that space where they expected something and got nothing. That space will echo louder than any compliment or flirtation ever could. When someone texts, don't always be the first to respond. When someone shows interest, don't always be the first to match it. Respond, but do it on your time. Make them work for the moments that come easily to others, not because you're cold, but because you know your worth. Because you know the right person will respect your pace and the wrong person will reveal themselves the moment you stop chasing. That's the silent game of power. And here's the beautiful twist. When you do speak, when you finally let someone in, it'll feel like a reward, a privilege, because they had to work to get there. They had to wonder, wait, earn. The person who's unforgettable isn't always the one who said the most. It's the one who left you wondering. The one who made you work a little harder. The one who moved like a mystery. Never fully in your grasp, but always under your skin. You don't need to say a word to become his sweetest nightmare. Just don't move when he expects you to. Just when he thinks he's figured you out, that's when you pull away. Not as a strategy, not to manipulate, but to remind him that your presence is not a guarantee. You see, one of the most irresistible things a woman can do is leave before the climax. Not of the night, of the interest. When the intrigue is at its peak, when the chemistry is undeniable, when he's hanging on every breath you take, that's the moment you disappear. Not in a way that feels cold or punishing. No, that's not what this is. This isn't about being cruel, it's about being unforgettable. There's something so powerful in knowing that you don't have to hold someone's attention through constant proximity. True allure doesn't cling, it creates space and makes that space feel like a void no one else can fill. Here's the truth most people don't talk about. Obsession is born in absence. If we don't get closure, when we don't get the full story, our mind writes the rest. And it always writes something more dramatic, more alluring, more intense than reality ever could. When you linger too long, when you give too much, you start to answer all the questions. You become too available, too predictable, too solved. But when you exit, just as things are getting good, you flip a switch in his mind. He starts replaying moments in his head. The way you smiled when he made that joke. The subtle glance you gave across the room. The way your hand brushed his when you passed him your phone. And then you're gone. No message. No dramatic exit. Just gone. Now he's left wondering, did I say something wrong? Was she even interested? What did that mean? And in that silence, something magical happens. You grow in his mind. You become larger than life. He starts to fill in the blanks with fantasies, questions, possibilities. That's when you become his sweetest nightmare, the kind he doesn't want to wake up from, because the mystery of you is more intoxicating than the reality of anyone else. But let me make this clear. This only works when everything before the disappearance is real. You can't fake chemistry. You can't manufacture connection. The energy between you has to be electric, even if no words are exchanged. You have to leave him not just wanting more, but needing it. You've got to be the person who, in a room full of voices, can make silence seductive. That way, when you disappear, it doesn't feel like a stunt. It feels like a loss. He'll go looking, he'll scroll,